Hey everyone, Alex here. I know it's been more than a week and a half since CactusCon. We were just given a copy of the hands-on Purple Team workshop conducted by Jorge Orchilles during the con and wanted to share the recording with you. As a heads up, the workshop was conducted on virtual machines provisioned in Jorge's environment and thus are unavailable after the con, but we still wanted to make sure that the material and the presentation was available to anybody who wants it. So without further ado, take it away, George.
All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We are officially starting. This is the hands-on Purple Team workshop for Cactus Con. What an awesome con. We're almost at the end of it. It's been awesome. We did a talk earlier today, saw some great talks, a lot of chatting on Discord as well. So welcome. Thank you all for coming. I am Jorge Orchilles, and this is our hands-on Purple Team workshop. We also have Tim Schultz. He's hiding. He's not showing his video, but he's going to be helping me. There's Tim. Tim just joined us from Sandia, and before that he was with MITRE. He's our adversary emulation lead. So excited to have him on board. Today is his 6th day. We're making him work 6 days in a row. It's a bad start, Tim. I'm sorry. We normally don't do this, but yeah, we're here. It's all for Cactus Con. So here we go. I'm George, as I mentioned. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Scythe, also a co-author of the Purple Team Exercise Framework, which is what we're going to talk about here. Other projects, C2 Matrix, CVSS, version 3 and version 3.1, EPSS, a framework for thread-led pen testing, and I am part of ISSA. I'm a fellow there, as well as the National Security Institute. Prior to Scythe, I worked for 10 years running the offensive security team at Citi. Lots of experience there, and Enterprise was a ton of fun. Love everyone there. I also teach for SANS. I'm not sure if you all saw, we just gave away a bunch of SANS stuff, a full SANS course and a 4-month access to NetWars. So that was during the Q&A of our talk. Should come out if you weren't there. I'm also the author of Security 564, which is Red Team Exercises and Adversary Emulation. Let me check Discord. I'm still having the same issue. I click on the link in my email, ask me to join a meeting. Okay, I am sorry. I cannot help you right now. Everyone else is on, right? You're all on. You can hear me. Okay. Hands-on workshop format. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can watch this for like 5 minutes and I'll walk you through and just go do the hands-on part. Or you can watch me for like 40 minutes, kind of give a brief on what we'll be doing, and then go do it. Either way, you have 2 hours with this environment. It is a relatively new lab environment. It's hosted on VMware Learning Platform, which is nice because I can create the lab one time and then you all get your own labs. So your environment, your environment, your environment are all the same, but different. Oh, there we go. You're on. Yes. Awesome. Welcome. I was worried about you, but I couldn't stop, you know. The lab environment allows you to play the role of cyber threat intelligence, red team, and blue team. This is an intro to Purple Team lab. So if you're here expecting to write like custom Sysmon configs and send them over a Splunk, you're going to be interested in our intermediate workshop, not in this one. However, this one's still cool because we are going to emulate some real threat actors we've seen in the wild, particularly 2 that are going after hospitals. And that's not cool. And that's why we are doing them, because like, who goes after hospitals during COVID? You know, who goes after hospitals at any time? But yeah, we don't like them. So we're going to learn how they operate. And then we are going to emulate those same adversaries so that you can figure out how to defend against them. Those 2 are called Orange Worm and Ryuk. Sure you've heard of at least one of those in the news. So I'm going to introduce some of the concepts. Oh, it says 3 hours. We do not have 3 hours. 2 hours total time. Sorry, there you go. Oh my gosh, Google, why do you do this? 2 hours total time. Self-paced, there's a manual. I'm going to walk you through it. You have 4 systems. a Windows member server you log in with it, which is called Unicorn because we're the unicorns and we love our brand. That's a Windows member server. And then there's the Scythe attack platform. There is the Sand Slingshot C2 Matrix Edition. That's a VM that we give out for free, and you can actually download that one. Right now, it's really the only one that you can download after the workshop. And it has a bunch of C2s pre-installed, including Vector, which we're going to use here. And there's a domain controller because how many of you operate in an environment that doesn't have a domain controller? Right. So what are you doing here? You're learning. You're going to learn by listening, by seeing, and by doing, all in your own environment. If you trash that environment, nice job. I worked really hard in making it hard to trash. But if you did, hey, we're all breakers, so that's awesome. But you won't affect anyone else, which is great. Doesn't affect anyone's else learning ability. And really the whole reason that we do this is for you to be able to take this back to work, for you to understand the value in purple teaming and in working together across silos and within other teams in your organization. We also made a framework available for free that you can download and go through. And of course, you can get some CPE credits because I know some of you all need that. And that's totally fine. We'll give you some CPEs at the end once you're done. We don't just give them for free, right? If not, we're not allowed to give them. So let me jump over to that. Oh my gosh, so many windows are open. All right, so you should have received an email that looks like this. VMware Learning Platform user entitlement created, or something different. I actually created this. But it's called events. It's from events@Scythe.io, and it says, "Dear user, entitlement with quick launch URL created, regards the Scythe team," or something to that nature. And if you click on that, you're going to be taken to another screen. The actual email subject, thank you, Nicholas, is Purple Team Workshop, VMware Learning Platform class started. Thank you. See, I run these workshops and I actually don't add myself as a user, so I don't know what the user sees. And then I remember and I go back and do this. So this, once you click on it, it's from events@Scythe.io. Or at least that's what it looks like. It's really from learningplatform.vmware.com if you're looking that deep. But anyway, you click on it and you're taken to this screen. And here you're going to see time remaining. Mine's a little different because, like I said, I'm different and I did it differently. But let me walk you through this. So if you're going to do your own hands-on thing, let me at least tell you a little bit about VMware Learning Platform, assuming this is the first time you've used it. Over on the left, you have your consoles. When you click on consoles, you will see two of them, Unicorn and Sand Slingshot. Mostly everything here that we walk you through is on Unicorn. This is the console. You can then close it and see a nice, more sized console. In the middle, you have your console. I'll talk about that in a second. And in the right, you have your manual. So your manual, you should read. We're all in InfoSec. We must love to read. Tells you a little bit about this portion of the lab. And it goes through, does an intro to command and control. And then you set up a scenario where you create your own campaign. And as you go through it, you're going to create command and control. You're going to create a payload. Then you're going to do some detection, you know, the blue team side, some WireShark. Then you're going to do some CTI. You're going to read a little about orange worm, etc. And you go through step by step. You can also hit this little window here on the right and just go. You're going to do some Sysmon. So we will be using Olaf's Sysmon modular. We also have Swift on securities if you prefer that one. And then we'll execute some other campaigns, et cetera, but you get it, right? You like hit next. And then when you get all the way at the end, it's going to tell you how to get your CPEs and share on social media because we love you and we want you to share this with us. Now, in the middle is the console. The console is where you're going to do most of your work. So this is a standard Windows console. Note that the time's completely different than any time ever. Hit Control-Delete up on the top. You see it right here. And then you need to log in. What is the password? Nobody knows. But if you click on notes, it's going to tell you. Again, everyone listening, woohoo. All right, got your attention? The passwords for everything you're going to need in this lab is up on the notes. You see right here, notes, click on it. You see a username and the password to log in, as well as the username and the password for Scythe and Vector. Scythe is your attack platform. Vector is your tracking platform. So you log in with student, you hit enter, and you are in. This environment has multiple virtual machines. That it's right here. It tells you, look, you're on Unicorn. It's on 192.168.0.20. There's a DC, a domain controller. There's an attack server. There's also the Sans Slingshot C2 Matrix Edition that has a bunch of other C2s that you can play with as well. Really up to you. We walk you through a lot of this, right? So that's the most important part. Now, if you need help, you can message us on chat or on Q&A in Zoom. That's why we're using Zoom. We opened this up to, I think, 100 or so people, more than Discord accepts. So that's why we are not using Discord. Discord only accepts, I believe it's 50 people. So if you have questions, let us know, because we can actually see your screens. See, over here, we see everyone's console. And I can search through anyone's console. So if you have questions, I can go and find you. I can get access to your console, and I can actually take over it to help you through it. Tim is also on, and he can help you as well. So anyone that needs help, you can send the panelists a question through chat. Again, that's Zoom chat or Zoom Q&A. Should we have 2 or 4 VMs in our environment? Well, yes, you can only see 2, but yes, there are 4. You only have access to 2, and that is because it's by design. So the domain controller, you should be able to get to. We'll see. And the Scythe server, you don't have access to a server itself. You have access to the web application. So there are 4 VMs. They're all up. You can try pinging them. And confirm that they're there, right? So if you ping 192, you missed the login credentials. I knew it. Someone was going to do this. All right. One more time. Where are the login credentials? Anyone? Notes right up here where it says notes. There. Username, password, credentials. Also, when you are going through this, I think it's like step 4. It also tells you the credentials. I think like step 20 also tells you the credentials. But I knew that question was going to come. It's a 100% chance. So notes, there it is. They're there. All right. So everyone good? Everyone that's going to go on their own good? You can also leave me on. I'll talk for like the next 40 minutes. I'm going to go very quick. But yeah, you should be set up and ready to go. So what are we learning here? What are we learning today? We are learning about purple teaming. What is purple teaming? I keep hearing it. Isn't that just when the red and the blue team work together, George? Why is there a whole workshop on this? Yes and no. We'll show you. We'll show you what we have experienced when trying to get red and blue to work together. I'll also cover some ethical hacking evolution. So if you're new to InfoSec, welcome. We love you all. We are very, very inclusive. We allow anyone into our community. So if you're new and you've never done anything in red or blue, that's completely fine. We're going to walk you through. Stay and listen. We're also going to introduce a frameworks, because when you go and you tell either a client or your boss, like, hey, we should do purple teaming, they're going to say, okay, what is that? And then you say, look, there's a framework around it, and there's a methodology, it's documented, and look at the value that you can do. Then that kind of gets you off started in the right foot. That's from some experience I've had in enterprise trying to, move our industry forward. Then we're going to cover cyber threat intelligence. See, a lot of people think purple teaming is red and blue. We also cover cyber threat intelligence, which is very important. Then we're going to cover preparing for an exercise, executing an exercise, and doing lessons learned. And then, of course, at the end, you'll have about an hour. If you hear me and don't multitask, You'll have about an hour, which is enough to get through everything. So what is a purple team? It's a virtual team. I actually only know 2 companies that have dedicated purple teams. I'm sure that this will continue to evolve, and there will be organizations hiring actual purple teamers, which is really cool. But to get there, you kind of need to understand some other things in information security. For example, cyber threat intelligence. That's the team that understands your threat model, understands what attackers are likely to target you, and investigate them. They understand the adversary behaviors, the tactics, techniques, and procedures. Then you have your red team. A lot of people know this one, right? The offensive team. They're in charge of emulating adversaries. And then your blue team. And I know none of you were hired to be a blue team. This is a catch-all phrase. It's anyone that does defense, all the defenders. Security Operations Center, hunt teams, digital forensics and incident response, managed security service providers, managed detection and response. You're all blue. So how hard can this be? We take red, we mix it with blue, we make them work together. Pretty easy, right? Or we let Mike Tyson tell us how to make this happen, right? Red and blue just work together, right? Now, Kith, right? Really, this is what we think will happen. You get your offensive team, you get your blue team, you put them in a room, and look at all these smiling faces. Everyone's just getting along, being all collaborative, right? Wrong. Generally not what happens. Generally, you're going to have some pre-existing emotions going on, people not liking each other is very, very typical. So it really complicates what you're trying to do, and that's why we're here. Now, if you've never seen this, we were actually, or maybe you missed our talk, we actually did a whole hour talk at CactusCon on this exact test case, because one particular client that we've done Purple Team with allowed us to share what we did. We did a 6-week exercise with them. Week 1, we did a baseline, just understood their controls because we were also being blue team there. Then we started with a low sophistication actor and worked our way up week over week. And they told us, we want you to improve our security, but do not spend any money on technology. How many times have you heard that, right? And it's completely possible when you focus on people and process, which is what Purple Team does. So what did we do? Oh, hit the wrong one. So we went in, we emulated a whole bunch of threat actors, and they did not detect us at all. 94% not detected rate, not even locally, no local logging, nothing. They did catch 3 various test cases, which were around scheduled tasks, which was good. And then 1 test case was blocked. Then through only enabling telemetry, things like Sysmon, which you're going to learn about today, and creating some logic on their SIM, which was Event Sentry, we were able to detect 64% of these adversary behaviors. So that's pretty good, especially with $0 spent in technology. Can we download the manual? You can't, but someone actually already grabbed it and put it on GitHub. I'm going to share that with you on I'll share it with you when I'm done speaking. But yeah, so someone already copied and pasted every single page onto GitHub. So how did we get here? Well, if you've ever done offensive security or ethical hacking, then you probably started doing vulnerability scanning, which is totally fine. This is important to know what vulnerabilities exist in your perimeter and your internal network. But Nessus and Rapid7 and all the other vendors, right? Qualys, right? I'm not saying anyone's better or worse. They provide very long reports, and you are overwhelmed. My previous employer had 1.2 million internal systems. Imagine how many vulnerabilities we would have when we ran a vulnerability scan, right? Yeah, I'm not going to confirm or deny the number, but yeah, it was up there. So you then have vulnerability assessment. You have people actually looking at those results, verifying vulnerabilities exist, calculating CVSS scores. And before you all give me crap about CVSS, make sure you calculate the temporal environmental score for your environment. Of course, the base scores are going to be uneven. They're base scores. Then we figured out that we can actually exploit vulnerabilities and gain access to these systems through penetration testing. So we did that, and that also brings a lot of value. And then we saw that malicious actors weren't just getting in through technology flaws. They were getting in through phishing, social engineering, right? And we realized that we needed to test people, process, and technology, not just technology. So we did some zero knowledge red team engagements, looking at the organization holistically. And guess what? We got in. Yeah, we got in every single time, 100% success rate. Drop the report over on the blue team's desk and say, you need to get better. We'll be back in a year. And hopefully you're improved, because this was easy. And that was a problem, that ego, right? So we figured out that if we actually work together with the blue team and show them how the red team operates or an adversary operates, then we can more efficiently and effectively fix issues. And then instead of just going full cyber, like my friend Jake Williams likes to say, how about we actually emulate adversaries that are likely to attack us? And yeah, I gave you a whole maturity model, but just really at the highest level. Currently, a lot of organizations are only using CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures, to identify methods in. You need to evolve to tactics, techniques, and procedures, those adversary behaviors. Also, after what we saw in December 2020, right, with FireEye, Microsoft, SolarWinds, right, all of these organizations getting breached, we pretty much have determined that everyone's going to get breached, right? If the ones with the most budget aren't able to prevent an attack, neither will the ones with less budget, right? And I worked in an organization that had a pretty big budget, and we knew that eventually someone was going to get in. And the question is, what do you do then? How do you detect and respond to a breach instead of always trying to prevent it? So red teamers are the people. You can't automate a red team. By the way, you see some new products out there like red team automation. Yeah, you can't really automate a red team because red team is people. Just like you can't emulate or automate a blue team, right? You need people. So why not train them up, right? I like the Red Team Journal. Shout out to them. They're back. They've been posting some great stuff. And what they say is that the red teaming is the practice of looking at a problem or situation from the perspective of an adversary. And that's kind of like a holistic view of an organization, testing assumptions, emulating TTPs, going after people, process, and technology. That's what the red team is. And if we're going to talk about red teaming, we have to talk about blue teaming. Who are the blue team? The blue team are the defenders, and they are tasked with identifying, containing, and eradicating attacks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? I specifically love the blue team because I was a blue teamer. I worked in a security operations center, and I remember when I had to do shift work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I remember getting calls about customers being breached and a lot of panic on the other side. It's hard. So shout out to all the blue teamers. And when you look at what blue team does, we can actually break this down in 3 things. And I'm looking at the right side of my slide here if you're following along. And that is, the first thing is you got to log something. You have to have visibility. So you want to log relevant events that are occurring on your systems locally first, right? That's like your first area where you'll see something, and then send them to a central log aggregator. Then look at all those logs and do some sort of security logic, and then be able to alert, create some severity. When I see these patterns occurring, that's bad. When I see these patterns, that's a normal user, right? And then respond. So you need a process for that. You need people, and you might want to try to automate some of this, right? So that is what the blue team is. And then adversary emulation is a type of red team exercise where the red team emulates how an adversary operates, following those same TTPs that the real adversaries have done. You can do this in a blind or zero knowledge engagement, often called red teaming, or a full knowledge, also known as purple teaming. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Now, I do want to comment that all offensive security, or ethical hacking, as it's been traditionally called, is about providing value. It's all about providing value. You weren't hired to just break into the company. You were hired to actually provide some value. I pressed something and I don't know if I broke something. Where's my chat? Y'all can still see this, right? All right. I think so. Y'all there? Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Nicholas. Someone's quick and paying attention. Everyone else is already on their labs, I guess. Oh, or not listening, which is sad. So let's move towards purple team. And that is, those are our unicorns. We love them. They're the best mascot ever. So again, a purple team exercise, a virtual functional team where everyone's working together at the highest level. Imagine everyone in a room. Imagine everyone in a room. I can't wait to see people again. So you have your cyber threat intelligence people say, hey, there's this threat actor that has the capability, intent, and opportunity to attack our organization. These are the TTPs. Then your red team comes in with their ego checked at the door saying, yes, this is the adversary emulation plan. This is what we're going to do. Then you have a tabletop discussion. Oh my gosh, you have to talk to other humans. Yes, that's how we collaborate. So you talk, you say, okay, well, this TTP, let's just say a spear phishing email with an Excel attachment, right? Just hypothetically, not like it happens every day. What would block that? Well, maybe our anti-spam solution, right? Or we use Proofpoint, right? And shout out to Proofpoint. Love you all. You all are awesome. Maybe they will block this. And then if they don't, then it's going to get into our email server, and then Exchange might catch this, but maybe it won't. And then the end user, would they detect this? Maybe they would. Maybe they'll alert us. Maybe they'll follow a process. Maybe they'll report this. And then we would look into it and see that it's a malicious Excel file and work with Proofpoint to catch it next time, but also make sure that no one else in the organization received the same email. And if they did, we can remove it from their inboxes, and then we can do forensics on the file, see if it's calling home or where it's calling home to. See if anyone's opened it already, right? Great tabletop. Hypothetically, all those things could occur. And then you do it. Then you actually do it. Your red team will say, all right, this is how you create a malicious Excel file, and this is how you email it. And everyone watches the red team do their thing, and the red team's awesome, and you're going to learn, and it's going to be fantastic. Then when that is executed, the blue team gets to work. And they look for those indicators that something weird is going on their network, and they show it to the red team. And now the red team is learning. And also the cyber threat intelligence team is learning. And any spectators are like, wow, look, we caught some stuff. That's awesome. Or maybe you realize that you didn't catch something. And then what do you do? Well, then you figure out how to catch it, right? Now you understand how that attack works. You want to first log something locally, then send it to a log aggregator, and then over to an actual alert, and then a response, and then people know what to do. And then you repeat this over and over. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. I love purple teaming. So when do you do these purple team exercises? And really exercises, I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of our talking is around doing a purple team exercise and then operationalizing it. So in this case, it's a purple team exercise. When should you do it? Well, maybe when there's a new kill chain out there or a new attack chain. Maybe there is a recent attack that we saw in the news. Maybe a Gregor, right? Or maybe Ryuk. We heard about that hospital that got hit, right? Will that work in our organization? CISOs get that question all the time. Well, let's test it. That's a great time to do a purple team engagement. Or maybe there's some new TTPs you haven't tested before. You're not sure if you have coverage. Or maybe after a red team engagement, or maybe before a red team engagement or prep. Really, anytime you want to foster some collaboration. So whenever you do pitch this, whether you are a consulting company and you're pitching this out to a client, or you're you work internally. Maybe you're part of the blue team, you're part of the red team, you're part of CTI. Maybe you're just an engineer that does Windows operations, right? It doesn't matter. All of you can be part of purple team. And the way to pitch this is with a framework. So the one we are going to go over is the Purple Team Exercise Framework, which specializes in this in particular. We also look at the testing framework, which is MITRE ATT&CK, but there's others, right? There's a cyber kill chain from Lockheed Martin. There's a unified cyber kill chain from Paul Poles. And if you worked in financials, then you have a bunch of regulators, right? If you work in a large global financial, I know who you are. You have like 35 regulators that want you to do this. And there's a bunch of regulation around it. Actually, because of all that, I helped co-author the framework for regulatory use of pen testing in the financial services industry, which just resulted in another framework being published. So the cyber kill chain's easy. This one, a lot of senior management knows. You've all seen this, right? How attackers work. They do reconnaissance, then they weaponize, they create a payload, they deliver that payload, they get access by exploiting something, then it installs their stager and it sets up some command and control, and then somehow they jump from command and control all the way to action on objectives, which isn't really what happens. That's why we don't like the cyber kill chain, but at a high level, it's 7 steps, so it was kind of easy to explain to senior management. This is what attackers do back in 2011. Now, what do we use? MITRE ATT&CK. And this is the mandatory MITRE ATT&CK slide. If I don't have this slide, I actually get fined. Do you all know that? No, I'm just kidding. But most everyone has MITRE ATT&CK or has heard of MITRE ATT&CK. So ATT&CK is Adversary Tactics, Techniques, and Common Knowledge. On the top, you have your tactics. These are high-level attacker goals. And then you have your techniques. If you click on the techniques, now you get sub-techniques. And if you click on those sub-techniques, then you get procedures, which is how those are performed. And there's 584 of these, I might have counted. And yeah, it's great. They say it's common knowledge. It's actually a common language. It allows cyber threat intelligence teams to work with forensics teams, to work with blue teams, to work with red teams. It's great. So I did say MITRE ATT&CK. I'm going to take a break and just have a little drink. All right, here we go. So what are we going through? We're going over the Purple Team Exercise Framework, and we are going to be speeding this up. So if you have questions, ask them over on the chat. I see the chat here. I see Robert Rodriguez laughed at my MITRE ATT&CK joke. That's great. Thank you. At least I know there's one person out there that found this amusing. It made it worth my while. Roles and responsibilities in a Purple team. The most important role is an exercise coordinator. This is a person that's going to plan everything out. And yeah, sure, you might be the one with the idea. Guess what? You're the one that's the exercise coordinator for the first Purple Team exercise. That's completely fine. Just know it's a ton of work. You're going to have to work with other teams and get them all into your idea of doing this. It's tough. I've been there, but it's okay. It's an important role. Then you have sponsors, your head of security, your CISO, whatever you call it in your company. You have cyber threat intelligence. You have managers. You need managers. See, the managers do schedules and assign tasks to the attendees. You don't want a task assigned on the day that you're doing your exercise, right? So sponsors are very important. You need to convince them about purple teaming and telling them that this is very high value. And they're going to approve the exercise. They're going to approve the goals and the scope and a little bit of budget. Eventually, we'll be able to travel again. Imagine meeting your coworkers, right? Anyone that changed jobs in the past year has probably not met their coworkers. That's very sad. We should fly and visit everyone and, be humans again. Anyone know what movie that's from? First person to reply, I'll send you to the swag store because I don't know if we have swag anymore. But yeah, you need sponsors. Then as you have sponsors, you also need time requirements. So prep probably takes the longest part of the time. And then the exercise could be a few hours. There we go. Anna knows. Nicholas knows. That was Jerry Maguire. Fantastic. So time requirements, prep generally will take a lot. I'll talk about prep in a bit, but you can run a purple team exercise in a couple hours. You can run it in a day, or you can do a 6-week long one like we did. But, probably start small. If you go and ask for an entire week of everyone out of their normal jobs just to do some experimental thing, probably won't sell well. Maybe if you say, hey, I just need 4 hours or 6 hours of someone's day, they'll probably work a little better. Then cyber threat intelligence, extremely important in purple teaming. This came from Katie Nichols and Cody Thomas. They used to work with Tim over at MITRE. They have since left, but this was an amazing presentation. I've actually taken it and really used it in the framework from the cyber threat intelligence side. And if you don't have someone in cyber threat intelligence, guess what? That's probably you. You need to understand your organization. If you're a consultant, you need to understand your target organization. Then you need to identify adversaries that have the capability, intent, and opportunity to attack your organization or your client's organization. Then once you identify that, so we're doing hospitals because hospitals need help. We're going to identify adversaries that are targeting hospitals, Orange Worm and Ryuk. Then we're going to gather threat intelligence. You're going to do that. You're going to extract TTPs, analyze and organize those TTPs, also known as adversary behaviors, create a plan, and then emulate the adversary. So when we talk about cyber threat intelligence, a lot of people think of indicators of compromise as like a hash value, kind of like antivirus. You give it a bad file and it'll catch it and it'll block it, right? Cool. No, we're talking about adversary behaviors here, TTPs, actual procedures. We can also talk about tools. There's a ton of tools. I'll give you some resources there, but that's really what we want to extract. So here's an example of a FireEye report. I'm sure you've all heard of FireEye. If not, definitely Google them and see what's going on over there. This was a report on a particular threat actor saying that they were using a particular payload called the Auto IT Downloader. It retrieved and executed additional PowerShell from some HTTPS site on port 8080. Well, that is one sentence that gives us a lot of information. Auto IT, that's a software. PowerShell, that is a technique. And HTTPS, that's an application protocol. And an IP address, that doesn't matter. We're not going to use that same IP, but it does tell us it's going over 8080. It tells us it's going over TLS. That's great information to have. So if you're going to emulate this threat actor, you're going to set up a C2 on port 8080 with HTTPS, and it's going to serve PowerShell payloads, right? Yeah. So does take a little learning curve to get to a point where you can read a cyber threat intel report like this and extract it. It's okay. We're going to help you out. The other thing is Attack Navigator. I love Attack Navigator. It is a web app that actually, I'll just do this live because why not? Attack Navigator. This Attack Navigator, we'll give it a second to load. You can create a new layer here. We're going to do Enterprise, and it gives you the MITRE Attack matrix. And up here in the selection tool, you can actually pick different tools. I don't think they have Orange Worm on here. Do they have Orange Worm? They might have Orange Worm. Excuse me. Well, oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Look at what they have for Orange Worm. Like nothing. Yeah, that was a really bad example. Sorry. Let's pick, I know APT19 has a few. There we go. All right, APT19. There we go. We have some TTPs used by APT19. So it's very useful. It gives you a little plan. It kind of analyzed and organized this for you. But you can also pull this out and put it in a table format, right? If you're going to pitch this to a senior manager, you say, hey, we're going to emulate Orange Worm. This is what they do. These are their objectives. This is what they do for command and control, etc. We actually do this. We do this for free. It's a blog series called Threat Thursdays. We introduce an adversary. We then consume cyber threat intelligence. We map it to Mitre Attack. We present and share an adversary emulation plan. It's actually the largest public repository of adversary emulation plans. Then we emulate the adversary and we cover how to defend it, all available for free and for your reading purposes. So check out that blog post. I hear Tim's working on an awesome one for next week. This is Orange Worm. So we did the same for Orange Worm. We were helping hospitals out, doing some alliances with them and trying to get them to not fall for ransomware and for these attacks. So this is a group targeting a number of healthcare organizations. The C2 they used were application layer protocols, fallback channels. They used signed binary proxy execution through run DLL32. They did simple command line and command Windows command shell, etc. So a nice little plan. Then you need to figure out logistics. Nowadays, you're doing everything virtual. So whenever you do go to physical, come back to this slide. Target systems. We do recommend you do all of this in production. Yes, in production. I'm not going to ask what movie this is because everyone's seen this movie, right? And the reason we say in production is because in production is where your security tools are, right? No SOC analyst is looking at that non-prod environment, probably doesn't even have security tools. So either create some new production systems and then ensure you have all the security tools on there. These are your antivirus tools, your EDRs, your forensics tools, your image acquisition, figure out how to do live forensics, right? And then the flow of traffic. Make sure that these systems and these accounts have email, that they have access to the internet, etc. You might want to create new accounts, say if you're doing things like lateral movement or dumping credentials. You might not want to share someone's real credentials in front of everyone. So you might have to request new accounts, make sure those new accounts have emails and internet access. Then attack infrastructure. This is a lot of fun. This is generally done by the red team. Here, you choose your external hosting provider, you know, AWS, Azure, Linode, DigitalOcean, whatever you prefer. Create your virtual machines there. Create some outbound IP addresses. Allow your red team resources to connect to them. And then you build out your command and control infrastructure, your phishing sites, whatever it is you're doing. If you're going to be sending emails, you might have to create an email service or an S7TP server. I recommend you just use like Office 365 or something like that. Then you need to purchase domains, generate TLS certificates, set up domain fronting and relays and redirects, etc. But then what you actually need to do is test those payloads. As a red teamer, you want to make sure that all those payloads, when executed, communicate back to your command and control. So if you don't know what tool to use, check out the C2 Matrix. The C2 Matrix has 65 command and control frameworks in there. It's a free resource that we created about a year and a half ago with Bryson and Adam Mashinchi. So you could check that out. We also have a virtual machine. That's one of the ones that you're going to be using here. And of course, follow us on Twitter so that you get updates when new C2s are out. Let me go show you that real quick because I like that live demos. So c2matrix.com, you click on this big red matrix thing, and it takes you to a Google Sheet. Yes, this is a Google Sheet. Over here, you have the name of the various different C2s. There's a ton of them. Then their license, their price, their GitHubs, their Twitter accounts, then who evaluated it. And as you go over on the right, you learn a lot more about these C2s, like what server language they are, what implants, or how do they create their implants? Are they multi-user? You know, putting the team in red team. Implants for Windows, Linux, or Mac. Then you head over here and you see the channels. Channels are communication channels. It's for your C2. Most use HTTP, but you'll see some pretty cool stuff like DNS over HTTP. Anyone monitoring that? ICMP, FTP, right? There's a whole bunch of different channels there like SMB, etc. Then you go through and there's a bunch of other capabilities for these. So lots of tools available. A lot of these are free. There's also some detection tools like their JARM, fingerprint, NetWitness, etc. What we're going to use in this lab is Scythe. Scythe is the one sponsoring this. So as you can imagine, all of these virtual machines you have access to might cost a little bit of money. So thank you, Scythe, for it. Full disclosure, I'm the Chief Technology Officer there. The reason we're using Scythe is because it's an enterprise-grade platform, and we believe that mostly enterprises are going into purple teaming. So when you want to emulate a particular threat, you want to do so consistently and reliably. This is a platform that allows you to do that. You're going to be able to use that shortly. Has some features, lots of integrations, lots of reports, lots of automation. Like I said, not going to make this a sales pitch. You're going to play with this in a minute. Then you want to create some playbooks. You create some of these campaigns ahead of time and then figure out how to execute them. Well, we're going to create something that uses HTTPS and then it has a 10-second heartbeat. Then we're going to create Orange Worm. Remember, Orange Worm uses run DLL32 for execution. Well, how do we do that? We can also use PowerShell to download React. The SOC team also needs some prep. Shout out to Threat Hunter Playbook. Excellent playbook of things that blue teams do. But the blue team also should verify that the attack infrastructure is accessible and things like that. The defer team, anyone in defer? So you should probably open up a case and list it as an exercise, because are you allowed to pull memory from any machine at any given time? I hope not. There should be some controls around that, right? So open up a case, say that's an exercise, and make sure that your forensics tools are deployed on those systems. Why? We've done many exercises where, because of licensing, you don't have your image acquisition tools on the target systems. Then finally, it's time for the exercise. Kick it off. Have a sponsor go there and motivate the attendees. You have all come here today because you are the best at what you do. However, as an information security organization, we operate under assumed breach. We know no matter what we do, we're going to get breached. So we want you to train and train against real adversary behavior. We want you all to collaborate and learn from each other because you are our best line of defense. Please use this time wisely. And then you begin your exercise. Your cyber threat intel person presents an adversary. This adversary is likely to attack us. They have the opportunity, the intent, and the capability. These are their TTPs. These are their behaviors. And then you can dive into each TTP a little more. What is the behavior? What is the procedure? What tool did they use? What's the attack vector? How do they deliver it? What privilege do they gain? Then you have a tabletop discussion. The SOC is going to say, well, we think that this can be caught like this, this, and that. The hunt team will say, well, if we know, if they execute that PowerShell with that base 64 encoding, we'll catch that. That's in our run book. And then the defer team will say, well, as long as the SOC tells us that that system needs to be investigated, we'll go investigate. And for sure, we will find that they use run DLL32 to execute this. Great. Fantastic. You're all already working together. Red team, do your thing. They go, they show their screen. This is how this TTP works, and provide all that information. Yeah, I know red team's not used to doing that, huh? Give them your attacker IP. Give them the machine you compromised. Provide the exact time. Show what you did, right? Come on, red team, share your information. Then the SOC hunt team, defer, the blue team goes and they do their thing. They also share their screen. And of course, monitor the time during this because you need to flow this, right? Once they do find it, hopefully they found something, they share their screen. Now it's the time for CTI and red team to learn from the blue team. What just happened? How long did it take you to detect that? When did the alert come in? One time we were doing one of these, we actually started on purpose with a TTP we knew would alert but not be prevented. And within about 35 seconds from us getting the shell, it popped up in the SOC's main dashboard. It was like, what? Look how fast. And of course, if you work in SOC, you know how long that takes, right? For like a outbound proxy log to go into a log aggregator, do all the analytics and then pop up. It was a great win. So document those, document the results, document the good, document the bad. Don't skip either of those. Both are important. And then see if you can do any short-term adjustments. See if you can engineer any sort of detection. Document anything that you couldn't fix, and then either repeat that TTP or move on to the next one. Then one of the tools we love using for tracking this is called Vector. Vector is a free tool. You can download it at vector.io. I use it in my red team class. It's awesome. On the left, you have the red team details. On the right, you have the blue team details. So in this case, this is what? Anti-malware service. I guess they're shut down the service. Was there any detection when your Windows Defender went down? And then you can fill that out that, yeah, it was detected, or no, it was not detected. And then once you're done with all of this, you're going to have pretty reports if you use Vector, but you're going to have lessons learned. Every exercise, you're going to learn something. So document all that stuff. And this is really the job of the exercise coordinator. That's why I said, try not to be the exercise coordinator. If you're also another role, it's a lot of work. Trust me. So yeah, that's it. Enough of me talking. I told you it was only going to be like 40 minutes. I went a little bit over. So now it's time to start your lab. Any questions? Let me pull up our chat. Let me pull up our Q&A. I'm starting my lab because I left it. You should have got an email. Seems straightforward. It is straightforward. We made this straightforward. Will the slides be made available? Yep, the slides and recording of this are all available. All right, so just to kick this off, Control-Delete right up here. What is a password? How do you find the password? In the notes. Student. Then you read page 1, read page 2, read page 3. When you get to page 4, oh my gosh, I did not type the word student correctly. There we go. The website for tracking is called vector.io. Almost, you had an extra O there. Then you open up Chrome. Here are the 2 links where you need to go to. Scythe. And yes, I did not buy a certificate for this. And then what's the username and the password? You click on notes. I'm literally not going to tell you the username and password so you don't ask later. You click on notes right up here. Notes. What's the username and password? Notes. All right, cool. One more time. No, you're good. Sorry. I told you I'm excited. It's actually in the instructions. Oh my gosh, yes it is, right? Like no one should ask me the question, but everyone asked the question. Thank you. See, oh no, I typed it wrong. Oh no, what's going on? Oh, I'm spelling it wrong. Unicorn. Oh my gosh, that scared me. All right, there we go. There is no more lab time. I'm sorry. I actually already messed up. I haven't even told my boss. We actually only had 2 hours because it's all computing in some cloud environment somewhere out in the cloud, right? So we were supposed to do 2 hours. I messed up time zones. So you actually got 4 hours of this. I extended it. So you're good. Like your time, everyone should have at least an hour and 5 minutes. Oh my God. That's what happens when I get super excited. You should all have at least an hour and 5 minutes less. All right. And of course, we're going to have a whole bunch more of workshops. We actually have an intermediate workshop. But anyway, we're over here on the Scythe dashboard and literally follow along the instructions. You're going to create a new campaign. Yes, we made this very easy. You can be a red teamer in no time just by following these instructions, right? And you're going to go through it. I'm not going to do it for you. You're going to do it. But if you have questions, you can send me a direct message on chat or on, just use Zoom. Now, if you are stuck, if anything breaks, let me know. If you used your real name, which I think everyone did, I can find your console and I can go into your console and help you out. What is the password for the VM? Are you serious? Okay, you are kidding. Thank God. All right. Thank you. You're funny. You're funny. All right. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and take a breath. As you've seen, I have not breathed in like 55 minutes. So enjoy the workshop, break stuff, be a red teamer, be a blue teamer, emulate orange worm and Ryuk. And let us know if you have any questions. It's meant to be fun, and yes, you can go on and do whatever you want. You can create any campaign you want. You can be the bad guys and go through and make some cool stuff. GitHub link for the manual. I'm going to post that right now. Let me stop my share so I can use my Google. Who posted that? This was Andy. What's his name? Cypher Fish. Found it. Here you go. Boom. And this isn't official. This, like, someone took this workshop. They wanted the manual. I told them I couldn't extract it, or I can, but it's an XML. They didn't want XML. So they literally just copy and pasted it, and there you have it. All right. I'm going to turn off my camera and shut up and let you all have some fun. Enjoy.